Hello to all of you. Good afternoon. This lesson is about direct and indirect speech, which is also known as a reported speech. Here we are going to say or repeat what somebody else said. You have in the direct speech here, you have an example where it says, he said, I am very angry. And in the indirect speech, you are going to repeat what that person said. And so you are going to have the sentence, he said that he was very angry. Indirect speech subordinates the words of the speaker in a that clause in the reporting sentence. In the case of direct speech, we use quotation marks when we are writing. When we are speaking, we are going to use the intonation to make the difference. Whereas in the indirect speech, you have a that clause, which is subordinating something to the main clause. He said this. He said something. He said, what did he say? He said, I am very angry. And so he said that he was very angry. That is going to take the place of the direct, it's going to have the function of a direct object. The reporting clause in direct object may come before or after the speech itself. Sometimes it can occur in initial position and sometimes in the middle. So you have, when he said, I am your friend, said John, or I am your friend, John said. If you have a pronoun, it is generally going to come before the verb. It is not usual nowadays to say, I am your friend, said he. Yes? So we will put the pronoun before the verb. There are several changes that have to be made when you are using direct and indirect speech. One of the most important changes is the back shift of the verb, and you have other changes. For example, you have the effect of distancing the first and second person pronouns will be changed to the third person. For example, I'll behave myself, he promised, and in the indirect speech you have, he promised that he'd behave himself. Here we have the first reflexive pronoun for the first person, and then you have it for the third. Okay. Frequently also, very frequently, there is a change of determiners or adverbs. Yes? This is going to become these, that is going to become those, here to there, and now to then. You have, there can be other changes also. I live here, he explained. He explained that he lived there. I shall do it now, he said. He said that he would do it then. So here you have to be careful if you are talking about what moment you are talking about and where you are talking. The most important alteration of all, though, is in the verb phrase. This is referred to as the back shift. And the rule of back shift can be ignored. It can be ignored when the validity of the statement reported is the same for the present and for always. For example, nothing can harm a good man, said Socrates many, many years ago. And Socrates said that nothing can, you can also put could, harm a good man. But you can use can because what he said is still valid for this time. When the reporting verb is in the past tense, verbs in the reported speech are changed as follows, and they are always changed in the same way. You have the present goes into the past. The past goes into the past perfect. The present perfect and the past perfect. The present perfect goes into the past perfect, and the past perfect is always going to stay the same. So then you have, here in the example you have, I am tired, she complained, and she complained that she was tired. Here we go from present simple to past simple. In example number 2, you have the exhibitions finished last week, explained Anne, and Anne explained that the exhibitions had finished the preceding week. Be careful also because here you have a change of adjectives, yes, from last to preceding. When you use the present perfect, I have won the match. He says, our friend exclaimed that he had won the match. And what is going to stay the same is the whole house had been ruined, and here you have the past perfect, and the past perfect is going to stay the same. The landlord said that the whole house had been ruined. Okay, and this one is where you say there is where you want to show immediacy, that things are always happening, things at that moment are always the same, where you say, she keeps saying, I am a failure, and she keeps saying that she is a failure, because it is always the same. With the modal verbs, the only time that you can say that the modal verbs are present and past is when you are reporting or doing indirect speech, yes? Because here, yes, you have a change of the present to past tenses. Only here, and if you use could as ability or possibility, you also are speaking with could. You're also speaking in the past. But here we consider that the modal auxiliaries are present and past. If you say, I'll go, she said she would go. From here you have will, which goes into would. I may be late, he said. He said that he might be late. I can post a letter for you, Kate said. Kate said she could post the letter for me. So here you have the modal verbs in the present, and here you have the modal verbs in the past. Here, of course, where you use could, I suppose I could take the train, James said, that would be the same. Jane said she supposed she could take the train. You have different forms of using the reported speech. If you are talking about statements, which we have been talking about now, you have questions, exclamations, and commands. Up to now, we have seen them with statements only. But here you have an indirect question. When will the plane leave? I wondered. I wondered when the plane would leave. And here, when the plane would leave would be a subordinated clause which begins with when, which would be a subordinated clause of time. Michael wanted to know what she had done, and here also, what is the subordinator, and what she had done would become a subordinated clause here when you are asking questions. These are also sometimes called embedded questions. You can find them as embedded questions because they are not direct, they are put into a sentence. You can ask, are you ready yet? Margaret asked. Margaret asked me if or whether we were ready. And then, is James coming to the party? She asked if or whether James was coming to the party. These are also subordinated sentences. Alternative questions are made indirect with whether or on a model similar to yes-no questions. Yes? Are you satisfied or not? She asked whether I was satisfied or not. Okay. Exclamations with dependent WH clauses. For example, what a hero you are, Sheila said. Sheila told him what a hero he was. Here you have Sheila told him, and here him would be an indirect object, and what a hero he was, would be a direct object, and a subordinated noun clause as a direct object. Okay. When you have commands, when you are giving an order, here you have two infinitive clauses, and they are always without a subject because you are giving an order. Yes. And here backshift. What was said about backshift applies to question and exclamations also, but not to commands because we have no finite verb in commands. Yes. Then we have the imperative, where you have is a reporting verb. Well, here you have the imperative. Go outside, James said to the children. James told the children to go outside. Here you are going to have a to infinitive because you don't have a finite verb in the first part of the sentence. Okay. You have different kinds of sentences depending on the reporting verb that you are using, yes? Because some of them change and they have different patterns. You have different patterns and you have different patterns or structures, and here you have a verb plus an infinitive with these verbs. You have offer, refuse, threaten, invite, ask, agree, intend, propose. He offered to help, they promised to finish, he threatened to tell, and here you have to be careful because all the verbs are special, yes? You can't use a to infinitive with any verb, you have to use them with special verbs. You have a verb plus ing, and you have here about, admit and suggest. He suggested going to the beach. He admitted stealing the money, and so here you have a verb plus an ing. Here you have a verb plus a that clause. Announce, remark, claim. You can look afterwards. You can look at all the verbs that you have. At the end of this, you also have a list of verbs that you can use to report. And here you have, she announced that she would be in her office all morning. He remarked that, and here you have special verbs that are followed by a that clause. You have verbs plus prepositions plus ing. Remember that after a preposition you are always going to have an ing. So here you have apologize for and admit to, and she apologized for having treated him so badly. Here you have a preposition and an ing. Underneath you have they admitted to taking the keys of the office. Here you have a to and a to as a preposition and an ing. Then you have a verb plus an object plus a preposition plus an ing. And so this is a different pattern, yes? So be careful with the patterns when you are doing the exercises. I congratulated him on his new position in the office. The police accused him of breaking into the house. I thanked them for helping me, and here you have a verb plus an object. It plus a reporting verb. This structure is common with a reporting verb or with a set phrase. It is thought that, it appears that, it is common knowledge that. And so here at the bottom you have at the end of page 3 you have other reporting verbs that can be used. Okay, you have a more complete note in the platform that I have put, and you also have, and now you have a task to do. This task is it goes in place of the online class. It doesn't have a grade, but it is part of the 60% that you need to be able to sit for the midterm exam. Okay, this is all for now, and I hope it has been useful. And look at the rest of the notes, or the notes that are longer, that you have on the platform. Okay. I hope you have understood. I hope everyone does the task. It is not very long, but do it because it is part of the 60% that you need to be able to sit for the midterm exam. Okay. Goodbye, and have a nice weekend. What's left of the weekend. Okay. Goodbye.